Hey gang, it's Bryan from FXBilliards. Today we're going to cover a very important subject, and that is how to deal with clusters. I'm going to give you some tips today that are going to stick with you the rest of your life. It's not too early to hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribing to this channel, I feel sorry for you. Your competition is subscribing. Anyway, let's get going. There is a science to breaking up clusters. For example, if you are stripes in this situation and you're playing 8-ball, the way you break up this 1-14 cluster is very important. Which ball you use, how you go about doing it, what direction you come in from, all of that is important. But before we get into that, you need to know the difference between different types of clusters. It's unbelievable how many people don't know how to deal with clusters and how many don't deal with them at all. They expect that something magical is happening, or they think that their opponent is an idiot that's going to break up the cluster for them at some point. So let's look at the different types of clusters and how you should address them. In the examples that I give you, these are going to be 8-ball examples, but this applies to every pool game, straight pool, one pocket, 9-ball, 10-ball, you name it. It's just that in 8-ball it becomes a little bit more important. In 8-ball in particular, you have a number of different types of clusters. You have clusters where your ball is tied up with your opponent's ball, your ball is tied up with the 8-ball, your ball is tied up with another one of your balls. And by the way, if you are not considering the 8-ball your ball while you are playing, then you are doing something wrong off the top. Stop trying to run out and your 8-ball is tied up with your opponent's ball. You have given this player permission to tell you what to do the rest of the rack, because he could sit there with his ball tied up with the 8 until he's ready to shoot it off. Now, the key reason why you need to develop the skill of analyzing clusters is because once you learn to break up clusters, you do not want to use those techniques when you don't need to. So I'll give you an example. We're on the solid balls. I have a cluster here. Usually, here's a rule of thumb for you. Usually the ball that is closest to the cluster is the one that we want to use to break it up. But I could shoot a little draw with left-hand English here to throw this 5-ball in the pocket. I could hit the cluster that way, break them up, have a legitimate shot at it. I could play the 6 and draw the cue ball back here so I have this angle on the 4 and be able to break up the cluster. Both of those would be acceptable shots. But if I pay attention, I walk around the table and I say, wait a second, these things are practically wired for that corner pocket. Why am I breaking up clusters, sending my cue ball to Never Never Land trying to break up this cluster when it is wired for this corner pocket? And if you understand the tangent line, the line right between these two balls shows me that the 1 ball actually goes in that corner pocket with a little bit of draw from this angle. Now, I'm not going to teach you everything you need to know about how to cheat the tangent line today. That's an entire different video. But what you need to recognize, which even beginner players know, that if these balls are wired for this pocket, all I need to do is make contact. Now, because they're not wired and it actually goes to the edge of the pocket, hitting the ball here is not going to send the 3-ball to the corner pocket. But if I play a stop shot on the 4, as opposed to position on the 6, angle on the 4, break up the cluster, or radical draw shot off the 5, I can just shoot this ball here, the 4-ball, with a stop, leave my cue ball here. Because these balls are touching, I can actually come in on this side of the cluster and throw the 3-ball into the pocket. So I shoot a shot like this. Now watch what I do with my cue ball, by the way. Just a little bit of draw on that. Notice I did not send my cue ball with a follow shot to end up here, because my next shot is down here. When you are breaking up a cluster, you need to understand what's going to happen afterwards. That's all part 2 of the video. Let's look at something else. Let's look at another situation where you should not be breaking up your cluster. I have the 3, the 1, the 6. The 1 is not quite wired for the pocket. We might or might not be able to throw it in there. The 3 will put us on the 1, just like this, where we now can shoot the 1 in this pocket. Walk around the table, guys. Make sure the ball doesn't go in before you go out of your way to break up the cluster. But let's look at something else. There's other things that could happen here. Let's say the 1 is not makeable. Remember what I taught you a second ago? If we look at our tangent line, which is the point where these balls connect, what's going to happen to the 6 ball if I'm over here this time? I don't have the 3 ball to get on the 1, and if I did, the 9 is in the way. Just by hitting this ball here, the little bit of stun, I can send the 6 ball right to that pocket. The 1 ball may even go in that corner pocket. As a result of all these things that could happen and probably will happen, I'm also going to get shape on the 3 ball. Why? Because if you break a cluster up and you don't get shape on another shot, you're the guy that wrecks. So let's shoot our 6 ball in. I'm going to shoot a draw shot on this only because I'm not sure what's going to happen to the 1. I am pretty sure what's going to happen to the 6. And I want to make sure I have a shot at the 3. So the play would look like this. Made them both. Now we have the 3 ball. We can just tap this in. We're on the 8. And this is what scientists call out. So the moral of the story is, before you break up a cluster, find out what the tangent line is doing. Before you break up a cluster, find out if they're wired. Before you break up a cluster, find out if you can get shape on one of those balls and you don't need to break up a cluster. All clusters are not problems. Of course, this segment is about clusters that you do not need to go out of your way to break up. Second part, I teach you how to break them up. First part, I teach you whether or not you should break them up. We are on the solids. We have the 5 and the 6 here. They are not wired for anywhere. They don't go there, they don't go there. But if you pay attention, if you've seen all our videos, if you've seen our videos about carom shots, you will find this on the table. My students find these shots all the time. I'm very proud of them when they see these. And it looks like this. I am on the 4. I can't make the 6. I can't make the 5. The 9's in the way. If I shoot a follow shot on the 4 ball and just send the cue ball down table, guess what I can do? I can play the 6 in off the 10. Even though these balls are not wired for the side pocket, they are wired for the 10 ball. So if I just lob this over there, I can come off the 10 and make the 6 in the side pocket. And because I'm always playing shape on my next ball, even when I'm shooting a cluster, I am on the 5 ball. So sometimes the shape that you're getting is not for a wired shot, it's for a carom shot. These are all over the place in 8 ball. So many of you miss these runouts. I watch players playing 8 ball all the time and I'm like, this is a 1-inning game, and it turns into a 5-inning game because they don't see shots like that. But where we break up the cluster, how we break up the cluster, which direction we come into the cluster is key. Not just breaking up a cluster, but which direction are you coming from can make all the difference in the world. Now this is an extreme example, but minor examples like this happen all the time. We're on the solid balls. The balls that are closest to the cluster are usually the ones that we want to use to break up the cluster. Balls that are close to the clusters are usually good breakup balls. So if I shoot the 5 ball, I can leave myself an angle to break up that 8-7 cluster, right? The 8 ball is ours. We need to break those up at least so we can make our 7. Also, the same angle, a little bit more played, could put me on the 3-1. But if I shoot the 2 and I come in from this direction, look what happens here. I break up the second cluster. So pay attention, guys. You want to know where these balls are going to go. If I break up a cluster and it reclusters somewhere else on the table because I just sent a ball over to another spot that's going to be clustered, it doesn't do me any good. In fact, a lot of people that think they understand breaking up clusters, they just go from one cluster to the other because they're sending their balls to places that they don't need them. So what we do here, instead of playing our 2-ball combination, our rotation that's going to put us on either of those clusters, we go after this cluster so that we can hit it on this side and break up the other cluster as well. So just a little bit of stun on this 2-ball. We break up every cluster, every ball is now makeable. So pay attention to where the balls are going before you start breaking up your clusters. Again, the game is 8-ball and I have totally screwed up my run out. Why? Because number one, I've let that cluster sit on the table while I shot off 3 other balls. Number two, I've left myself in a position now where I'm on the wrong side of the 5 to break up that cluster. But I told you guys it's going to be a little bit more exotic, right? We have a chance to break up that cluster with a shot that many of my students and those of you that watch this channel like to call Bryan's favorite diamond. What is my favorite diamond? It is this diamond, this one, and that one. Why? Because I can get there from a lot of different places on the table, from multiple rail position, and if this is my target, here, it is the furthest target from scratching. It's the furthest from this pocket and that pocket, all at the same time. That's why I call it my favorite diamond. We can get there on a regular basis. If you watch this channel, you've seen this shot probably 3 or 4 times in different multi-rail position videos. If I put myself almost parallel to this 1 ball, so I'm actually going to come off the rail just a little bit, just to get perfect position on that 1. Now, I can shoot this with high right-hand English, come off of this rail and this rail, and hit this diamond that I seem to be so good at hitting. And now, what happens? I break up the cluster. I have a legitimate chance of running out, and I came off of multiple rails to do it. We have a lot of videos that teach you how to come off of multiple rails. We teach you the diamond system. We teach you Bryan's favorite diamond. We teach you the 30, 45 degree shot. We teach you a lot of things that teach you how to do that. Learn those shots, because if you need to do something exotic to break up the cluster, you want to be able to do it, right? Many times it's not obvious to players what is going on with a cluster. Sometimes it should be, sometimes it's not. If you play this 5-ball here with top and you go down there, you're going to make that 8-ball in that corner pocket all day. When you see the 8 clustered up with another ball, ask yourself, are those balls wired for a corner pocket? Are those balls wired into a carom that's going to put me in the corner or the side pocket? Because both of those are situations where you need to stay away from them. So, what do we do here? We've got our closest ball. That's the ball that is going to be easiest to break up the cluster with. So if we shoot the 5-ball, and now look at this situation here, we have a chance to break up that cluster. Do I want to shoot it from here? By the way, I would come close, but I'm not sure I would get there. The whole point is, I want to break up this cluster from this direction. I want to be coming this way so that I don't have to worry about the 8-ball. So I'm going to pop this off the rail, give myself a little better position on the 4-ball, use high right-hand English now to break the cluster. I don't need to hit them too hard. I just need to separate them. And now that they're separated, I have an opportunity to win. Be careful how you break up your clusters. Be careful about balls that might be wired to go into a pocket if you were to run into them. Let's look at something else. Look familiar? Every week somebody tells me, yeah, this guy broke, tried a 2nd ball break, messed up the rack, my balls were clustered up, which should have been a 1-inning game, 2-inning game, was a 7-inning game, 9-inning game. We're not playing baseball, guys. We're running racks, which means 1 or 2 innings. Put yourself in a position to run out. If you look at these balls, I don't care that his balls are all clustered together. He managed to make one after his break, where he sent the 8 ball right there and messed up the rest of the rack. It's our shot. We shoot off 4 balls that were layups. We put ourselves on this 9 ball just like this for this reason. The 14 is wired for this corner pocket. So all we need to do is play the 9 into the 4, which will go into the 5, which will play the 7 into the 14, into that pocket. Don't shoot your 11 ball first. Why? That's your insurance shot. We know a couple things for sure. Our cue ball is going to be right here because that's where I'm going to leave it. Our 9 ball should head that direction because that's the way I'm trying to play it off of the 4. And our 14 will be in the pocket. So if we get rid of this ball and we don't get on the 9, which will be the only other ball on the table, then we don't run out. So don't get everything off the table before you try these secondary breaks. Watch what happens. We play a stop shot on the 9. We end up on this side of the rack because I didn't hit it quite as well as I wanted to. I wanted to play that side of the rack, which would have left a 4 and a 5 on that side and a 9 over here. But are we not out? Of course we're out. If we didn't play that shot, if we didn't see that shot, we would not be out from here. But we're going to be out all day and night from here. Bar box, second ball break hero guy is racking again because he played that second ball break against the wrong person. Make sure you understand all of these concepts. You're going to run more racks, you'll break more clusters, which means running out more often.
Hey there, ready to elevate your pool game? Whether you're moving from intermediate to advanced or you're aiming to become a local legend, we've got you covered. Join us for exclusive in-person lessons, master classes, and personalized Zoom sessions. This is your chance to experience the magic with tailored coaching from Bryan, no matter where you are, even if you don't have a pool table at home. So why wait? Sharpen your fundamentals, master strategic play, and boost your mental game. Visit FXBilliards.com now to learn more and take the next step in your pool journey. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe to FX Billiards for more tips and tricks.